My husband doesn't like to leave the state.
Call to order the Wheeling Plan Commission for Thursday, June 14th, 2012. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Commissioner Burns.
Here.
Commissioner Dorban.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Fotto, I'm here. Commissioner Scheff.
Here.
Commissioner Dorban.
Here.
Did I say Commissioner Dorban already? I probably did.
She's here twice.
Okay, good. Commissioner Simon gave prior notice that he would not be in attendance tonight, and Chairman Maloney.
Present. Mr. Jennings, are there any changes to the agenda?
We have one change to the agenda. On your revised agenda, there's an item of 5, citizen concerns and comments, which will be actually the next agenda item. For those who have just entered, there's a sign-up sheet for citizen concerns and comments. Do we have a second page for that one? So if you'd like to sign up for to speak related to a agenda item, this would be the appropriate time to do so. We'll go ahead and start at the top and call off the names.
One moment.
Do you want me to
explain or you want to?
could I make a comment? If you didn't hear it, there's a sign-in sheet for anybody that would like to make public comments about any of the items on tonight. And if so, please sign up. These comments will be made at the beginning of the meeting. Once we get into the meeting, there's only one public hearing tonight, and that involves
The
American Academy of Gymnastics.
Okay. We also have another item that I believe a few people are here on Phil Haven. This is for the site plan. I'm sorry, it's the site plan and appearance approval for a multifamily residential building. So tonight there's not a public hearing on this like there was a few weeks ago. So that's why the comments, if you have them, please make them at the beginning of the meeting. And once we get to this, the Plan Commission members will be asking questions, and the petitioners will be making a presentation, and there will be questions from the Plan Commissioners, and there will be no questions from the audience at that time.
So anyone who wishes to sign up for citizens' comments, please do so. Or for the or if you want to sign up for the American Academy of Gymnastics, this is the time to do it. And this is something new. This is what the village board does, and all boards, I guess planning commissions anyway, are now required to do this.
Okay, with that, the first name under citizen concerns, James Ladd.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Ladd. I'm Vice President of the Lakeside Village Homeowner Association. And as we said before, we want to say as a board, we are neither for nor against the Fellhaven project, but our only concerns are about additional water that would be added to our property and cause further flooding. We hope that you will honor the agreements between Manhart Consulting and IG Engineering for their stormwater profiles that we've both have presented as a joint effort. We'd also like to ensure that we are going to understand there's carports now. It would be nice if that would slope towards Hintz Road and not Lakeside Villas lakes, so that the water runoff from those carports would remain in the streets and then drain towards Hintz and hopefully into Lake or Cook County instead of us. Also, depending on how they present the new parking with the covered carports for the cars, at the north end of the property line, if you'd ensure that the curb height is higher than the grass level, that would also ensure that water would run south away from Lakeside Villas. There's a lot already in the profile to take care of the water that we've all discussed from the past. Nothing's changed, but with the full blacktop in there now, we just wanted those other two concerns. And everything else, as long as the projects are approved according to the plans, both Manhart and IG Consulting agree with everything. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Joanne Teslick.
It's chilly in here for me. Hi, my name is Joanne Teslick. I live in Wheeling here, and I would like to make a comment on the Phil Haven project. I am rather confused because of the fact that they're saying this is a facility for persons who are mentally challenged or physically challenged. And yet, we're putting 2- and 3-bedroom apartments whereby people who are not physically challenged and not mentally challenged are going to be abiding there. I am not opposed to helping the persons who are mentally challenged. My own friend has a daughter who will be in a facility such as that when her mother passes away. However, what I am opposed to is we have low-cost housing throughout the Chicago and suburbs, and those areas are for persons who are family, involved with families. If a mother and a father are going to be there taking care of a mentally challenged or physically challenged person, there is no need for us as taxpayers to pay for their housing, in my estimation. I do believe, yes, I as a taxpayer and as a person should be concerned about the person who cannot fend for themselves as far as working and having a place to live that is safe and secure for them. But I am very opposed to 2- and 3-bedroom units that will be given to persons other than mentally challenged and physically challenged individuals. I hope that is, am I making that clear? I hope so, because I think they should be 1-bedroom apartments, and the only person that should be residing there is the person who we are intending to take care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anne Marie Lundstrom, please.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. It's hard for me to talk without really seeing the new plans. I only know what I've read in the paper. I did get the agenda, but I'm not sure, exactly what the new plans are, so I'll just talk about what I've heard. I have heard that they are requesting no variance and no tax amendment. And I have a question, and my question is, the builder was the one who wanted to have the office for the counseling service. And now, if there's no office, how are these people to be counseled? What about their medication? In the Herald Defense Post, many people have said there is supervision. You don't have to worry about this plan. They will be supervised, and these people that are complaining about it, they're wrong. Well, I don't know if we're wrong or not. I'm still very confused. I'm glad they're having a meeting on Monday night, because maybe we can straighten some of that stuff out. But there's still a busy street. I think busing is still a concern, and there are still 3 schools in the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is all we have.
Okay. We have consent items, docket number SCBA 1124. Picture. which is Children's Land, 850 McHenry Road, appearance approval of a freestanding sign. Excuse me, I'm dying.
The proposed sign location is just off the side of this photograph, here near the entrance from McHenry Road. The sign location was previously approved when the building was approved. The consent agenda item tonight is for the appearance of the sign itself.
Thank you. Docket number SCBA 1226 is Illinois Vehicle Auto Insurance, 1950 South Wolf Road. It's appearance approval of a wall sign. Docket number SCBA 1227 Walgreens, 10 North Milwaukee Avenue. Appearance approval of a freestanding sign. And docket number SCBA 12-30 Culligan, 270 West Palatine Road. Appearance approval of a freestanding sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Motion was made by Commissioner Dorban, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Fado, vote yes. Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
And Chairman Maloney?
Yes. Items for review. 7A, docket number SCBA 12-29 D'Agostino's Pizzeria, 241 South Milwaukee Avenue. Appearance approval of a wall and freestanding sign. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. The petitioners present, please come forward. The restaurant itself was in front of the commission a couple of months ago. The work that was approved by the village board following that recommendation is currently underway. At the time of that review, the sign package that was shown was for illustrative purposes only. At this point, they are proposing the formal sign package. As you note from the staff report, there is an item in there that does require a variation. The existing sign at the southwest corner of this site, which has been up for many years, in order to be refaced, does technically require a variation from the sign code. The appearance of that sign is in front of you tonight. The petitioner has scheduled a hearing related to that setback variation for later this month. But with that, I'd like to pass it to the petitioner to describe the sign package.
And just for the record, would you give your name, please?
Jeff D'Agostino. I'm from D'Agostino's Pizza. Good evening. I don't know if you have the pictures, if you're all looking at it. Essentially, we are going to maintain what signage has been there, just change it basically to our logo. You can see the freestanding sign that's on the south end of the lot, and it'll just be revised to show the D'Agostino's logo. Same thing on the north side of the building, other than like the mansard is going to get changed. That's brown, and you could see that the roof is going to change to the cardinal red. The front, the electronic sign is new panels just to represent our name. Essentially, that's the changes.
Last speaker's 5 minutes are up. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I really don't know what else to add, to be honest with you. If you have questions, that's what I'm here for. If there's any concerns, things that we need to,
We'll start
change or
with,
work on. Pardon me?
We'll start with Commissioner Jorband.
Thank you. I only have a couple questions.
Sure.
The first one is, on any of the signs, I don't see an address number.
Okay.
We have been really trying to encourage that, especially along these busy streets, so people can identify looking for a specific address. That was one question. And the other one was regarding the landscaping. And it said in here, it says it doesn't appear as that there's anything added. Is there any way that you could add maybe some shrub roses on the bottom, daylilies, some kind of a perennial? I know you're on a fixed budget, and I understand that. but just something that has a little bit of color out there next to that sign. I know you don't want
Which
to block
sign are
it
you
either,
referring
and I
to? The
understand that.
south, the north, or the southmost sign in the corner of the lot
Well,
there?
the one, the bigger one, I don't think there's any place for you to put it because of where it's located in the parking lot, right? I don't think
But
there's anything.
the sign,
Go
we
back
can't
to
really
that.
move the sign, so to speak.
But
It's-
I'm saying, that one, the one here, there's
Mm-hmm.
really no place for you to put anything. The other one I was thinking was the other one with the, if you could go
The
back.
digital sign? The lit sign on the street, kind of?
This guy.
This one.
Yeah. Oh, no, I definitely plan on doing something
Okay.
around there. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
That's my
terrible.
only questions.
Right.
All right.
And I definitely foresee me doing something with the other sign as well,
Oh,
at some
okay.
point. You know, some kind of, you know, the new stone, those big bricks that people put around stuff and you plant inside of it. That, you know, without really taking up a parking place or anything, I'd like to do something just to
It
improve
would
the
be
image of
nice,
that.
but
Yeah, for sure.
you know, I don't expect you to do it all right now. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you. As near as I can tell, all you're doing is just replacing Hackney's with DiAgostino,
Yeah, correct.
essentially.
Other
That's what
than
it is.
there is a raceway sign
There's
going
that
on the
one
building.
raceway sign.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rafato. Thank you. How are the signs, how are they lit? The one on the wall on the north side and then
There's existing lighting in,
does it shine down?
correct.
Okay, 'cause
That's
I was
all
over
it
there,
was
I couldn't
before.
see it, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it shows in those pictures.
No, it really
It's
doesn't.
hard to make it
Oh,
out.
there they-
You
yeah,
can see
there
that
it is,
there's
yeah,
lights up
okay.
in there, yeah.
But they-
And we
okay.
planned on doing that again. Our initial thought was to make that sign lit, but I think like our logo and I actually saw stuff in the village that was the sandblasted signs, and I think that really lends itself to our logo with the lights on it better. So we actually switched from a lighted box, like,
And those currently, right around the sign that's being displayed right now, there are planter boxes around there. Those are just temporarily there. They're old.
Here?
Yes, right below that in the parking lot.
that's concrete, that's.
No,
the-
no, no, no. There are planter boxes that are there right now that are all in terrible
Oh,
shape.
right now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
right now.
that's from the old patio.
That's from the old patio.
Right,
Okay, that's what I
all.
thought.
We're going to keep some of those plants, that's why we kept those, but then the planter boxes are going.
Okay.
We're just
okay.
keeping them so the plants stay alive.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that those
Those aren't staying.
Staying around, okay. So then to the reader board sign. How, you've got this nice little logo of pizza, with a beer stein. Is there any way you can incorporate that into your sign? If you look at the Hackney sign, it's got the horse and carriage, and it might be nice to have that pizza and pub somehow located on that, along with the address, just to make it, something else. Because, if you look at the Hackney sign, it's got the old carriage and the horses. It was just something, a thought process there, something that I was
Yeah,
thinking about to add to it.
I don't know if we just decided it was going to be too busy on that sign for us. I know we definitely had thought about that with the sign people, and this is what he suggested, so I kind of went with what he suggested.
Okay, all right. Just,
I don't know.
it's so blah.
It's very possible.
It's
I
so
mean, I
blah, it's very blah.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the individual lettered sign.
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of that sign? Because
it's kind of
you've got
traditional.
three signs, and if you're going down Milwaukee Avenue, and probably the speed limit's 35 there, and I would assume people go 45, 50, that you can't see that sign. What I don't understand.
The raceway sign you're referring to?
Yeah, the raceway sign. I don't understand the purpose of that sign.
I think that's going to be more visible for us than the other signs. I mean, you have to be heading south to see the one that's on the north end of the building, otherwise you won't see it.
Right.
And unfortunately, that big sign is somewhat hidden by vegetation right now, There's
Okay.
trees, I always look at it because I live in Wheeling, so I travel both ways every day. and I look specifically for what I can see on the building, and it's definitely not that sign for sure. The one on the north side, you definitely see when you're heading south. That other sign kind of gets lost in the trees, and, you know, I don't know. I think that, because that's going to be like white letters, it'll just pop out from the red, and I think it's something that will be noticed.
And it's going to be for those people coming from the south, because coming from.
Well, I think either direction.
Really?
If you're on
Because
Milwaukee going,
it's
you're right in front of it.
It's inset. It just seems to me like to be a whole bunch of signage that, and that actually is a big sign also, that just doesn't, that one doesn't make sense to me, the individual lettered sign. I like the other signs. I don't have a problem with you coming back for a variation on the, on the sign on the south side, but the sign above the raceway sign just, to me, doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, it's on all our other locations, so it's kind of traditional.
That's fine, yeah,
Yeah,
okay. I'm
unfortunately.
just stating my opinion.
Yeah.
That I don't,
I appreciate
I'm
it.
just not a fan of it, and the logo, your Pizza and Pub sign on the raceways, on the reader board sign, I think would be a nice addition. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I'll see if there's
Commissioner
a way we
Johnson.
can get it on there somehow.
Thank you. I had the same two comments as Commissioner Rufato. The raceway sign to me is big, and it's not going to be that visible to people passing by until it's too late. They're going to be right in front of the place when they see it. I guess there's no problem with it. It just seems to me like a lot of signage that isn't going to be that big of an advantage to you. As far as the other signs, again, with the reader board sign, I'd like to see more than just green and white. If you can incorporate something, some of your red in there as well, just to get your company colors in there.
Yeah, that might be a bad idea.
Other than that, the other signs are fine. That's my only comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
Thank you. Well, I agree with Commissioner Johnson that maybe some red on it, the reader board sign would certainly would give it more color. I think it'd make it more attractive. The sign that I personally have a problem with is the one that doesn't conform to current code, the large sign that's surrounded by vegetation, whose posts are actually an obstruction to the cars in your parking lot, that when it was built maybe wasn't even, compliant with code at that time. And I think this is our opportunity to correct that mistake. You have the freestanding sign, the monument sign with the reader board. You have the other signs, which I think are just fine. I don't think you need that fourth one. I know it's an expense to tear it down and takes one of the four signs away from you, but for those reasons, I think that's the one I'd like to see go.
The one in the parking lot?
The one in the southwest corner in the parking lot, yeah.
Okay.
And those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
What are the conditions?
As of right now, I was just jotting some conditions down. As of right now, the condition from the staff report that the freestanding sign at the southwest corner of the site is approved subject to the approval of the required variations from Title 21. Number 2, that perennials be added to the base of the reader board sign. Number 3, that the address is added to at least one freestanding sign. And I have a number 4, that the logo may be added to the reader board panel.
You have a problem with swapping the freestanding sign that's hard to read coming from the south anyway for the sign over on the raceway?
What do you mean?
If we got rid of one of the signs and it were the freestanding sign and instead let you have the sign over the raceway,
Okay.
is that a problem with you?
If I got rid of the big freestanding sign? I don't think I'd want to answer that right this moment. I'd have to think about that.
That's been there for what, about 40-something years?
That south
Yeah.
most sign? I would assume so. That's how long the building is there.
Anyone want to make any conditions or anything?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Another question on that south sign. If it were to remain, is that roof going to be changed to red as
Yeah,
well?
That would be changed to red, and then,
And can you do anything with the vegetation to make it more visible? Is that on your property or?
no, the
No.
bushes aren't.
Oh,
Directly in front of it they are, but those are just, they're shorter, but the bushes on the other property are, whatever, 6, 7 feet tall.
And who owns them?
That's the Lay Francais property. If they were mine, they'd be gone.
Do you hear any motions to do anything?
Well, my opinion is, I actually like that sign. Contrary to Commissioner Burns, you know, it adds some character to it, and it's a sign that, you know, to me, that's more of a welcoming sign than the raceway sign is. And, you know, I don't understand why you can't work with the landowner next door to trim those back, because they're really not in very good shape. I personally, I'm not in favor of the raceway sign. I personally like that sign.
Well, is there, someone want to make a motion to eliminate the raceway sign? Or take a poll? Let's take a poll. Mr. Burns?
Well, listening to, to Commissioner Fado, I agree that, the non-conforming sign that's been there for 40 years is more attractive, I think. And certainly 4 signs on 3 sides of your building is one too many, I would think. So if the southwest corner sign remains, and if that's your wish, of course, I think the raceway sign then should go. I guess I'd like to hear from Mr. D'Agostino if he prefers.
That's the one I'd prefer to keep the most.
The freestanding, the
Yeah.
big one?
No, the raceway sign.
raceway?
Personal
It's
opinion?
traditional for us.
Personal
Okay.
opinion is the sign that does the least good for you is the small sign with the reader board on it.
I agree.
The only way you can read that is if you're going north, because if you're coming south or anything, if there's any traffic, it's blocked, and it's
Agreed.
low to the ground.
I agree. I agree.
So, Mr. Rufato, your choice is,
Would you be willing to give up that reader board sign?
Would I? Again, I'd like to think about it a little bit and decide which is the most important to me.
would you like
If
to
I
have
have to
this?
give up
would you-
anything?
Would you like to have this tabled and go back to the next meeting?
Or,
In other words, we won't take a vote
Can we finish the poll
tonight.
first?
Pardon?
Can we finish the poll first?
Sure. But is that agreeable? You can't make up your mind. We'll finish the poll and.
I think it's only fair that I get a little time to
Commissioner
think about it.
Durband.
I think you should keep all the signs.
Okay, Commissioner Schaaf.
you.
That's my thought. I think all 4 of them serve the purpose.
We're going to have a hung jury here because I think you should keep them all also. But if you're going to get rid of one, I'd get rid of the reader board. It's the
But the
least
reader board
valuable.
could be very beneficial to them as well.
But you can't see it is the problem.
Well,
Well,
you know.
anyway, we're deadlocked. Why don't we table this? You think about it and come back.
When's the next time?
The 28th. It's the same night that the variations are scheduled for.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, one opposed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Docket number PC 12-20, durable packaging, 750 Northgate Parkway, minor site plan and appearance approval of parking expansion. Mr. Jennings?
Still catching up from the last one. The petitioner, Durable Packaging, is requesting amendments to their existing site to increase the size of the rear parking area on the west of the building. There are 2 new parking areas proposed. I believe you have the staff report. There were no additional staff comments. There was a correction made, and the version that you have in the slides tonight indicates the correct parking count.
Sir, if you're going to show us the same thing that we've got, we use the screen.
Oh, it's in color.
I can't see,
All right.
can't see it that far.
Would you introduce yourself?
My name is Rick Harris. I'm with Harris Architects. I'm here for durable packaging. They're looking to add some parking in the back. As you can see, they're already parking in the back, but they'd like to do it in a more organized manner. Andrew, we had talked earlier this week, I believe, in regards to that fire lane on the north side. It is actually a one-way, and currently it is from the west to east. There are 2 do not enter signs on the end by the front parking.
Actually, there's do not enter signs on both sides.
There is?
Yeah.
I didn't see it on the back side.
Yeah.
You want to explain why we're talking about that?
Well, the question that staff had for the petitioner is, with the additional parking here, whether it didn't make some sense to, rather than have so many employees go through the loading dock to get to the parking, have them access the parking area through the fire lane. I did have a preliminary discussion with the fire department. They seemed open to the idea, so if it's all right with the petitioner and the commission, we can add a condition related to continuing that discussion with the fire department.
So what you're talking about is, as they come in, they would go around the building one way on using the fire road as a driveway, so that would cut back on congestion, people coming and going at shift change.
Exactly.
Yes, they do have 3 shifts.
And last time they were here, they said there were about 750 employees, and it's evidently grown.
In 3 shifts. I'm not aware of the exact number on that.
Okay, thank you. It was 750 at their high point, so it must be growing.
And what they're trying to avoid is in the shift change, that's where they have the issues with the parking.
Right.
We're just adding 65 parking stalls in the back. There are 2 doors on the backside, and there's some lighting on the backside, which I have some pictures of if you need.
Mr. Burns?
I have no comments, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Johnson?
No comments.
Mr. Rufato?
Thank you. Those 2 areas that you are proposing parking, are those detention areas? Because it looks like there are, I don't want to say, I can't think of the proper term to use, but sewer pipes or whatever that go into those areas. And they looked depressed. Right, if you can bring up the picture on that shows this right there, where that white Suburban is, right to the left of that, there's something that comes out of the ground. So there's water that I would assume gets held in there, and the same thing is on the other side.
We are maintaining the drainage, the retention pond in the front.
In the front?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what happens to...
Up to there. We did submit some engineering drawings, too.
So has that been resolved, Andrew?
It hasn't been, it's under review right now. We have, for the drawings, we don't have a final determination. I would suggest a condition that just references the final engineering.
Okay, so then that's a concern, because, you know, you're adding asphalt here. So I'm curious as to where that water would go. And then what you're indicating is the fire lane now is going to be used as a drive. Starting, are they going to access this from the west and go to the east? Is that what you indicated?
I think it would be better if it's one way. It probably should go from the east to the west. They say more of their truck traffic is in the morning. I figure once people are arriving, Although I could go either way on it if, a lot of people like to leave faster than they arrive. So maybe it's better going the other way so that they're not driving through the truck court at a high speed.
So are you adding signage? Are you adding striping? I mean,
There is currently
that road
some
doesn't
arrows
look-
on the asphalt directing traffic where I initially said there were do not enter signs at the front parking lot. There are arrows showing directionally coming out of that space, as well as the do not enter signs.
You might want
So
to
I
get
think the
them,
do not enter signs will help.
you might want to get them restriped because repainted because I was there on Sunday and I don't remember seeing any of that.
Oh, really? Right at the front. I think I saw one or two on the
So
asphalt.
you might want to get them repainted, and then also, because there's no curbs there, are you going to have something identifying where the road ends? Because if you're going to be in snow, any type of identifying markings for that road, because it truly is one lane, and if it snows, it's going to be.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well,
Right.
such as the do not enter signs, I think are, or one way at the other end, indicating I think the do not enter signs at one end will.
Are there going to be clear markings on the road so people know that it's only a one, because granted, I know you've got workers there, but you're going to have somebody that's not going to know. Are there markings for that road? Like here, you've got these sticks, which, aren't the most attractive things, but, normally at the end of a road, you would put a white stripe. If you think about an expressway, you would put a white stripe that signifies the end of the road and you're going into the shoulder. On that road around, which really isn't in very good shape, I must say, some type of striping on both sides to, identify the end of the road. And are you going to have lighting on that road also? On the side, on the north side? Yeah.
There is lighting, there are wall packs along the north side of the building.
Does it reflect on the road?
I would have to say yes, but I haven't actually been out there at night. But they're only, as you can see, they're pretty close to that road. And most of the lighting in back here, as you can see, is the similar wall packs.
Right.
I couldn't verify that for 100%, but I have to think that it would definitely light that.
I need to ensure that there is lighting for that road.
I have some pictures here of that entry at the north. It does show the arrow.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't notice it.
Two do not enter signs.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so it's outside the
Right.
road. Okay.
Jim, if I could clarify a little bit, what we're talking about here is more of a staff suggestion than the company's. Looking at where the trucks are and everything, it was staff suggestion during the week, I believe.
That's correct.
That they consider doing this, making it one way around the building.
Oh, that's fine, making it one way,
So
but
that's why
let's-
some of the answers might be a little sketchy at this point.
Okay, then let's identify the road as a road that they're going to drive on and make it marked correctly. I guess that would be my thinking. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Jorband.
Thank you. My greatest concern with this all the way around is additional lighting. The wall packs really don't give off a whole lot of lighting, and that concerns me, especially if this is a pretty, off the wall, off the road area. So if somebody's walking back there, it exposes somebody who might be walking back there. So I would want to have additional lighting added. I will commend them, though, when I was there, and I've been by there a few times, it is an extremely clean property, so I commend them for that. But I would like to see additional lighting.
Such as light poles? Or just more lighting wall packs?
I'm not going to tell you what kind of lighting. I just want to see you have more lighting, for more security lighting.
All right. The lighting is currently consistent with what is on the truck court side. And actually, the parking will be farther out. As you can see, there's parking farther out, and that is currently lit by,
I'm
Wall
just
packs.
referring, I'm more concerned about safety of the people coming and going. That's, you know, I mean, somebody could conceivably be leaving in the middle of a shift and be out there alone, and that's my only concern. Thank
they
you.
also have security cameras that they are more than happy to redirect back there.
Well, you know, security camera's wonderful, but after somebody's hurt, it's after the fact. So, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you. I guess I have to get it straight. The one-way is coming in south of the building around to the north, like in a clockwise, or do I have this turned around?
Counterclockwise.
Is it counterclockwise?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
The one-way.
Oh, the one-way, the fire lane. I believe it goes around the north side and you come out at the east end. Can you pass down
No,
the...
here's the question. When you come in, you take a right and go to around the north side of the building in that direction, or do you go counterclockwise? I would assume...
Currently, you go counterclockwise.
Pardon?
Currently, you go around the building counterclockwise.
Okay, that's the one-way is
But if-
counterclockwise, so you're going
Through the truck court.
north and then...
Wouldn't it be, when you change this to use, right now, you're not using that road for that, but if you use
Right.
that road, wouldn't it make sense to go counterclockwise and stay away from the trucks, rather?
To go, I'm sorry, go counterclockwise, right. It's currently clockwise, I'm sorry, my mistake.
It's currently clockwise.
Currently clockwise, and you're saying...
Wait a minute,
go- right.
currently, it's not used,
Right.
the fire lane.
People drive on it.
All right, but what I'm saying, it's not supposed to be used.
Right.
But to be used, it would be counterclockwise, am I correct?
Currently, the arrows show it going
No,
clockwise.
no. Stop what it's doing.
Sorry.
Right now, it's a fire lane.
Okay.
If you're going to make that a driveway, which direction are you going to go around the building? You're going to come in from the east.
I would recommend it be counterclockwise. It could go either way.
My question is, which way does it go?
Currently, or which way are we anticipating?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Currently, they're not going anywhere. They're not going around the building. Currently, they're going.
Legally, they're not going around. Which
Yeah.
way are
Right
they
now, they're
going
parking
around
on
anyway?
on the south
They're
side.
just
by
going on the south side through the truck court.
Okay,
That is the current way they're supposed to be utilized, and are
Okay.
utilizing.
okay, so okay, if you were to use that fire lane,
Yes.
would you go clockwise or would you go counterclockwise?
Based on what the owner has said to me, in the morning, there is more truck traffic. At that time, I would think it would be best as people arrive, they go counterclockwise
Okay.
to avoid the truck traffic.
Okay. I can understand that. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. What Commissioner Dorban said, I think there needs to be adequate lighting. And you should make sure that those
Wall packs.
streets, whatever, provide adequate lighting. Okay. I also like Commissioner Rafato's idea of marking those lanes, or, marking the end. Because when, in bad weather, you got to know where that is, that thing, you don't want to run off the road.
I see. Marking the edge of the
Yes.
road. I see.
There you go. Okay. I think those are my comments. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The concern is with the lighting, Andrew, and I don't think it was part of this, and I'm okay with a condition, but can we get some photometrics on this that show what the spillage is on this, on not only on the parking lot, which Commissioner Dorban mentioned, but also on the road to the north, because you will have traffic at night because you said you're running 3 shifts, and so can we get some photometrics to ensure that there is proper lighting there, and then determine what additional lighting is needed?
Yes, I have a condition worded for that now.
Great, thank you.
Could you read the conditions, please?
First, not a condition, but just an update that the plan that you see in front of you right now be referenced in the motion rather than the plan that was originally submitted due to the change in the count of the parking in the rear area. So the conditions then, number 1, that the petitioner work with the fire department to determine whether the fire lane can provide access to the parking areas. Number 2, that the permit is subject to final engineering. Number 3, the petitioner confirm that the fire lane has adequate lighting if it is to be used for ingress, egress for the parking lot. And number 4, that the petitioner provide photometric data for the rear parking area.
Marking of the roadway?
That the, let's see.
If it is to be used.
Yeah, if to be used.
And the sufficient lighting should include that west parking area, the new parking area, because,
I can't believe wall packs are going to cover that whole.
yeah, I'm thinking they're probably going to need a light pole out there.
Yeah.
There's been trouble underneath that overpass for
Since
years.
I was in high school.
Oh, you were one of them.
Yes, I was. We were bored. We didn't make trouble. We just sat there.
All right, with those conditions, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, please call the roll.
Motion was made by Commissioner Rufato, seconded by Commissioner Dorban. Commissioner Rufato, I vote yes. Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
And Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
We will get the photometrics then before,
We will at least have a staff confirmation. There's a photometric standards in the zoning code. We will at least confirm that the rear area meets those standards.
okay, and will you let us know when?
Sure. I'll
Okay.
let you know.
And you'll have something to sign, and
Thank you very
you'll be
much.
released on bail.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did we get 2 copies out of that?
Okay, next is a public hearing, docket number 2012-8, American Academy of Gymnastics, 333 Alice Street, special use and site plan approval for an indoor sports and recreation facility. Mr. Rufato.
Kurt Waller, President of American Academy of Gymnastics, contract purchaser, seeking special use site plan approval as required under Chapter 19-07 Industrial District, Section 19.07.030, I-2 Limited Industrial District, Chapter 19-10, Use Regulations, and Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements, and associated sections to establish an indoor sports and recreation facility in the I-2 General Industrial District at 333 Alice Street, Wheeling, Illinois. Standards for a special use. A zoning special use is defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning is a use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding property that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for a special use, petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why the request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request for special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission may make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings, do you have anything to add?
Nothing at this time.
This is a public hearing. Anyone that speaks will have to be sworn in. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell everything you're about to tell us is the truth?
I do.
Would you give us your name and business address, please?
Kurt Waller, and the present business address is 280 Palatine Road.
Thank you. You may start.
We would like to move the American Academy of Gymnastics from its present location to, which is the address I just mentioned, to 333 Alice. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Can you tell us what kind of a business it is? What goes on there?
We are we teach gymnastics. We offer dance classes. We offer cheerleading teams. We also have a gymnastics team. And we offer ballet classes, hip hop, and ballroom dancing.
Thank you. We'll start with, I'm sorry.
There's two more parts of it
okay.
as well. Sorry, it's a list.
Would you mind adjusting the microphone up, please?
Thank you. How's that?
It's very good.
I can hear it better now. And we also do birthday parties. And we have open gym, where the gym is open to the general public to come in and blow off steam, I guess, for the kids.
What age groups?
The age group, for the use of the facility, we have kids coming in with their parents around the age of 2. It's similar to like a mom or a parent and tot swim class type of arrangement, all the way up to, we have college kids coming back during the summer to train at the gym. And so, 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'm sure there's a lot. We can
All
get
right.
to that.
We won't force it out of you. Mr. Rufato.
Thank you. There were the back, let's start at the back side. There's a fence there that's in pretty poor condition. What's going to happen with that fence? That, right there, right next to the truck. It's in fairly bad condition.
We really have no use for it, so if it, we can take it down. There's literally, it serves no function whatsoever.
Okay, but where would you, I assume you're going to have some type of dumpster?
It would probably be in that area.
In that area. Normally, we would probably we'd like to have it fenced in, so you might want to consider, if you're going to take that down, you're not going to use that door back there for access to bring anything in?
Yeah, that door, that little shed-like structure, there's no access through that door into the building.
Really?
So it would basically, it would be storage. That room was built, I believe, because of the noise. They have air compressors in there. A lot of the tools that were used in the manufacturing process were run on compressed air, and I believe they put them in there because of the noise. Those air compressors will be taken out, and we will use that for storage for, I don't know, bars, whatever. So there will be, the only function that back door will serve will be an emergency exit. There will be, everything will go in through the front.
Okay. So as far as the refuse, it's going to be in that area?
Yeah, well, I guess that would be the other function is the garbage, that door would be used to take the garbage out to the dumpster. So the that would be in that area.
Wait, didn't you just say there's no access to the building?
Oh,
Through that room.
there's no access through that room.
Oh, there's a door right there.
There is a door to the left, that's
Got
it.
it, I see it, yes, okay, when I was there, I didn't see that, I just saw the fence. Well, it'd probably be preferable, is it a requirement to have any type of structure around a dumpster?
The present, I don't know if it is, the present building doesn't.
You're going to actually have a dumpster?
Yes, we do quite a few
Small
no, we need a full-size dumpster. We do quite a few birthday parties, and, we're taking garbage out from the birthday parties, and we would definitely need a dumpster.
We're looking up to see if you really
You can
need a...
continue and I'll
Okay.
double check.
All right, so then, we talked about, one of the questions was about the parking. And in this picture to the right side, there's some parallel parking there.
Yeah.
Though neither of the parking lots are striped at all.
No,
I couldn't
they're
see any striping at all. So
Yeah, we've, part of the budget is to have the parking area resurfaced and restriped.
Okay.
That one of the problems we have right now in the present location is that there's minimal striping. So it's something that the parents complain about, and we don't own the building, so we really can't do that much about it. So.
Okay, so one of the recommendations was to eliminate the parallel parking on the west side, but then my assumption is that if there is parking on that west side, it would be diagonal? Or no parking at all on that side?
Okay, so you have the building, which is on the east side.
There we go.
No,
The parking that runs along that west side would probably remain as it is now. I agree totally with getting rid of the horizontal parking along there, because people are going to have to back out and so on and so forth.
Okay, this is Alice. So if I'm looking at this, on the left side is, there's parallel parking there, and then there's straight-on parking.
Correct.
So we're eliminating the parallel parking. This is all going to be restriped, okay? And then the east side, right? The east side will also be restriped. And is there any parking, additional parking on that east side? I couldn't tell. To the right here on this
No.
picture. There's no parking there.
There's no parking. One of the things that there's no parking over there.
Okay, great, okay. Then my last question is the overhead door. You talked about eliminating that overhead door.
That door will remain. Maybe I miscommunicated or misspoke, but that overhead door would remain. And on occasion, when we purchase new equipment or bring equipment out, we need a large opening to do that, beams and things like that. The only thing that would be eliminated would be the sunken loading dock.
The sunken loading. So explain that to me.
The loading dock, the sunken loading dock there would be filled in.
Okay.
And there would be additional parking, an additional 9 spots put in that area. The garage door.
Okay.
That opens vertically, that will remain. It's sort of in the shade there.
Okay. So then how are you, if you have parking there, I assume you're going to have a truck back in?
There would be, on a rare occasion, it would only be in the event that we run a meet once a year. not out of the facility, it's out of Stevenson High School. Some of the equipment that we use to run the meet, there's a vaulting system that's transported to Stevenson. In that case, we would use that door. And that's done when we can take that out when there are no cars there. So yeah, on a daily basis, that door would not be used for bringing items in and out. The only other time that door would be used is if we were to be bringing a new piece of equipment or taking out an old piece of equipment or something to that effect.
So I'm just confused. So that's going to be filled in?
Yeah.
And it's going to be 2 grade to the parking right next to it?
Yeah, to the west.
To the west. And I assume that retaining wall is going to be removed, the fence is going to be removed?
Yes.
These railroad ties are going to, what's going to happen to the railroad ties? Because you mentioned in here that there will be no significant changes to the exterior of 333 Alice. The landscaping at the location is beautiful and requires no change. That to me is debatable as you look at the picture that we were just viewing, and you see what poor condition that one lone tree there that looks dead, probably is dead, needs to be replaced. So I think you need to, there needs to be some upgrading to the landscaping. I'm not going to hold anything to the fire here about what should be done there, but I truly believe that you need a new landscape plan, because in reality, the trees look good, but there's, if you go further east, you've got Indec right down the street that is a beautiful piece of property. Well, and I'm not saying that this is not well maintained, but it needs a little bit of color. You've got to take out some of the dead things, and you have to explain to us what's going to be happening with this area here by the loading dock. Other than
the
that,
parking will the parking will go approximately the width of the loading dock. The bushes that are directly in the center of that photograph, those might be removed, but the tree in the back is safe. That doesn't have to go. We would get rid of that dead plant by putting in the parking lot. I'm pretty sure that's got to go just so we have the depth. And the railroad ties, obviously, those would be gone. And there would be a clean curb put on the opposite side, on the east side of those 9 parking places.
Mr. Jennings, do we have those plans, what that would look like, as far as the what's going to?
So that to the left is the present plans.
The dead shrub is roughly here, roughly, and it ends up being right about there.
Right. So I went over there shortly after receiving the architectural drawings and just sort of measured it off. The only plants that would be lost would be in that small area where that dead shrub was. Okay. So they would be taken out, and then we would do something to beautify the new 9 parking spaces that are there. We would.
Well, okay, so, I think we all would probably like to just, as a condition, that we see a landscaping plan, what's going to happen. Are you going to have a concrete walk from the west to the east for those 9 spots?
There's already a walkway there.
There's the sidewalk.
Yes.
Right. But on...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
On the east side, you have a walk from that parking, which I would assume in this use before was probably mostly visitor parking on the east side, but now you're going to have more parking on the west side. Are you going to assume that they're going to use the sidewalk in front of the building, or are you considering a sidewalk across that grass?
No, we would definitely have to have a sidewalk there.
Okay.
The parents, the moms, they don't want to get their feet wet. So we're going to have to, if you didn't tell us to, we would have to eventually anyway.
So that needs to be added also, Andrew.
I mean, I would feel safer doing that anyhow. It's, the easier it is for people to get in and out, the better.
Great. That is all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. All right, just to clarify some more on that new parking area, you're going to completely fill in that dock.
Correct.
Actually go a little bit beyond where it is, correct?
Yeah, I think
With
it's
asphalt?
about 5.5, 6 feet.
Okay, because I was turned around here. I thought the little inset on this drawing was actually where the dock is, but it's all the way to the far end of the building, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. It's where the little area sticks out.
Yeah,
That
okay.
is-
That's where I was confused. Now, all your clientele, customers, whatever, they're going to be coming through the front door. There's no side entrances, anything like that? They don't have to come through the
No, they would be, there's a double door. Well, I guess I need to preface that with a question. I mean, it depends on what code is. Presently, the way our gym is set up is we have one entrance through the front door. There is a side emergency exit. Every gym that I've ever seen has one entrance, and that's what we intend to do here.
Okay.
It allows us a certain amount of control in terms of traffic patterns and things like
And
that.
that's what I was looking for. Are you buying this building or leasing it?
Buying it.
Buying it? Then I guess my next question would be on the west driveway. It looks like all you're doing is putting parking curbstones in there to block off part of it. Why not just cut that driveway down to the size you need?
Where are you? Right there?
Right there, yeah, where it just says parking, is it precast car stop curbs installed per manufacturer? Instead of just...
I think it really wasn't a conscious consideration. I think it's a cost savings measure, number one. Number two, even though the use of the garage door that's there now will be minimal, it will still be used. And that'll make, when we're bringing equipment in, for example, we purchased a new tumbling floor. It was brought in with a 45-foot trailer. They called and scheduled a meeting on when they could come in. We scheduled them coming in when there were no classes going on. But in order for them to be able, it's a good idea.
Then those parking stones are going to be in your way of the truck anyways.
Yeah, I didn't even, the architect that I used didn't indicate that there would be parking stones there. I think it's a bad idea to have them there. Because that, while it will be an occasional use, it'll definitely, it's a good idea to still allow the occasional use for a truck to come in. So when we have equipment coming in and out, it works easily.
Yeah, I would do something there different. Either don't bother with the
I
car
agree.
stops.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they should be there. I think maybe I have to talk to the architect. Maybe he was looking at it from a safety point of view. But I don't know, I don't know why he put them there.
Okay, that's all I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. Good luck with this new plan. I know the American Academy has been in Wheeling for a long time, and it's trained a lot of gymnasts. There definitely are some finishing touches to this plan that are needed.
Yes.
You're going to have to check with staff after you fill in that sunken loading dock drive, but still want to use the overhead door to move equipment in and out. Make sure you got enough headroom that is still workable. I think it will be. Most loading dock doors are big enough for a tractor trailer to back in there.
It breaks down small enough.
Parking, now sometimes you rarely exceed the 56 parking spaces that you use now, you said.
Yeah, we have available to us around 45 spaces.
Okay.
The only time that we have a problem with that number of spaces is, we have White Tiger next to us. When they do a testing, we have a challenge. And it's not because of the American Academy. It's because they have a whole lot of people showing up, and, then we have to jostle a little bit. Being that we'll be the only facility there using this parking space, I don't foresee it being an issue.
Well, you got the Stevenson meet. That's a big one, right?
But that's at Stevenson.
Oh, you're moving your equipment to Stevenson.
We're moving our equipment to Stevenson. We do not host a meet at this facility.
Okay.
At our present facility, we have a small inter-squad meet where the team parents come out, and we have a total of 42 kids on team right now. So even with that, it's not an officially sanctioned meet or anything like that.
It hasn't overwhelmed your parking. What about some of the private parties? Imagine when they want to use.
Our party limit is 35. We don't allow more than 35 kids at a party.
Okay.
We rarely get to 35. In fact, I think we've gotten there, even considering prior to my ownership of the gym, I can't imagine it's happened more than a dozen times. Our average party size is about 18 to 20.
Okay. So you don't anticipate ever needing some overflow parking plan when it's going to exceed?
I did, the space is larger. I've been looking at the space and the possibility of having a small meet there. We do have cheerleading. It's a different type of environment.
That's gymnasts in sweaters.
Pretty much. And they throw each other up in the air. Hopefully they catch them at the same time. It's possible. I did read the requirement. If we were to have a meet, I guess we would have to go to the village and get a permit for overspill parking or something like that. I don't know if that's an option.
Well, what I was asking was, did you have a plan? And have you ever had to actually work with some of your neighbors and say, we're going to have this meet and we expect to, have more cars arriving than our parking lot holds? Could we perhaps make an arrangement to use your parking lot on Saturday night when
we haven't had that problem. If there's a way to, I don't know, how would that work? Would we go through the village to communicate with them, or would we go directly to our neighbors and say, hey, we're going to be trying a meet this year. We may need more parking. Can we use your parking space? It's on a Saturday.
Maybe the village planner can help us answer that.
If you were to do it as a regular formal event, we would have you do a formal agreement. If you're going to try out an event and you have a neighbor who's willing to have an agreement with you, And I don't think that we would need any sort of formal approval for a one-time special event if you can get property owner authorization. If you do it on a trial basis and you decide you want to host 2 meets a year, it becomes more regular, we would have you have a formal agreement go through us.
All right. Yeah, whatever is necessary.
Okay.
I'm happy to comply with that.
I also would like to see a landscape plan, and I'd like to see your plan for that dumpster. Where's it going to be? How's it going to be enclosed?
Any word on the enclosure requirement for the dumpster?
I wish that I could give you something more definitive. The code uses a mix of may and shall. My interpretation of that would be that it depends on the location. The section that it's under says that it may be required, and then if it is required, it lists several requirements of what it will be made of, how it will be handled. I would say based on this location, that I think we could work with them on it. It's not particularly visible. There's a concrete pad in the rear. If anything, you'd be looking at maybe a one-sided screen, but the building that backs up against this is a windowless wall.
Yeah.
And their existing shed actually screens it from the other direction. So I would say it's probably not necessary in this location, provided that it's around that corner in the back.
That sounds fine.
Okay. So work with staff on that.
Okay.
And you're going to be the owner of the building, so I'm sure you're going to want to do a nice job on that.
Yeah.
And everything else. Those are my comments and questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorband.
Thank you. I have one question, or actually I have a couple of questions. Most of my questions have been answered. Are you going to put in some kind of a buzzer system in the door so you know somebody's entering and exiting? We've asked that in the past for other same types of establishments that you're putting in.
We have front desk staff. Well, the summer hours, we reduce the summer hours of our office staff, but Sandy is there from 10 o'clock. We have office staff there from 9 o'clock until 7 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
So there's always somebody in front. When we do open gym, there's somebody in front. We don't allow kids to wait for their parents outside of the building. They have to be inside of the building where they're supervised.
Perfect.
Interestingly enough, the office layout allows for that type of thing. Should security become an issue or something, I can't imagine why it would. But, there's a vestibule, and then there's a window where you would be able to talk to a receptionist, and she would be able to buzz you in and out.
Perfect. Perfect. The other question I had, Andrew, could you go to the area on the back side of the building? Right here. The area that you're talking about using for parking is not including the swale piece, am I correct?
No.
Okay. Because when I was there, I'm thinking that I think that was a detention purpose.
Yeah,
wasn't
I would
sure.
love for that not to be a detention pond, because that would solve all the parking problems that we have. Unfortunately, it is.
Okay.
I did talk to the architect about the possibility of turning that into a cement detention pond with a covering over it, but it's a bit too rich for my blood. So we'll have to make do.
That was my main concern back there. And then I think all the other questions were addressed, and the other piece of property, the other section that you're talking about, adding the additional parking, I too would like to see a landscape plan and what you're planning on doing there, because obviously you're going to encroach on the area where there is that dead bush, and so I would like to see that.
But that's
and what
good, though.
about,
We're getting rid of the dead bush.
pardon me?
That's good. We're getting rid of the dead bush.
I'm telling you. Are you planning on additional lighting in that area as well, where you're?
I wanted to look.
Go to that picture again.
The lighting's right there on the right. And one of the things that I thought was important was I've tried to go by during the evening. I don't know if that's adequate lighting. Again, we're in evening hours operation, and
Yeah, I was looking at that, didn't seem like there was much lighting there.
yeah, I think, again, I'm just trying to foresee what the moms are going to be concerned about, and one of the things that they complained about at our present location was that lighting was inadequate and it was dark.
Right, and
One
that
of the-
concerns me there.
One of the parents backed up into the lights and knocked the thing over, so they had to put a new lighting, and that solved that problem. But I do think having better lighting there is a good idea.
So we
and it's
probably
something-
would need a photometrics for that as well. And if we could go back to the other, this section here where the dock is and where you're planning your additional parking, I was not there at night, so I was there, when it was light. Is there lighting there? Because again, you're going to
Don't know.
have, it's going to be, that's another issue for me. I can, picture myself dropping off a little one and not being comfortable if it's dark.
Right. Okay.
And I am not sure about the other side where you have additional parking too. Again, I wasn't there I was there during the day. So are you planning on some additional lighting there?
If needed.
Yeah, I just.
I don't know
I just
if
see a
there's
security
anything
issue.
on it looks like there's a light on the building right there. It would be phenomenal if we could, cost is, it's expensive to do lighting. If we can use the existing lighting location to take advantage of the electricity that's coming out there, that would be great.
Well, it appeared, and I may be looking at it wrong, but when I was looking at the building up above, it looks like on the roof line that may be lighting up there, but I wasn't sure.
All right.
So those are my only suggestions.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaaf.
Actually, I have nothing further. It seems that the commissioners have asked the questions that I would have. So nothing further.
Thank you. This is a public hearing on this. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this? No one? In that case, I close this portion of the public hearing. Any other comments from the commission?
Just a question.
Yes, sir.
This building is empty, correct, right now?
Yes.
These pictures that are here, were they taken recently?
Yeah. That's pretty much what it looks like right now.
What are all these cars?
We actually had that conversation with the owner of the building. I don't have an aerial photo, but the owner of this building owns the building directly across the street. They have a very large parking lot, and the other end of their parking lot on Alice is farther from the front door than this. So their employees are just accustomed to parking on this property and walking across the street.
So you may need some signs for American Academy of Gymnastics only?
He said, the owner did say that they would get the word out that the building does not belong to them if it is sold.
Okay, because when you mentioned that, I thought there was somebody still there because, well, one, there was a couple of trucks in the back, and I assume those are going to be there's a couple of landscape trucks back there that
Yeah.
I assume are going to be moved also.
We can put a sign up that says, block employees can park there so long as your kids are
I'm just
enrolled.
really surprised at all of the cars that are here, if this was taken recently.
They're waiting for him to open.
You're right.
They just have a long tradition of parking across the street because it's closer to the door.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You'd read the conditions, please?
The two conditions from the staff report were that children under the age of 10 be escorted to and from the building during pickup and drop-off. Number two, the parallel parking stalls adjacent to the building be removed to ensure adequate maneuvering space. Number three, the rear fence is to be removed and the front overhead door is to remain. Number four, landscape plan is to be submitted within 60 days of approval. Number 5, that a walkway is added from the west parking area to the main entrance. And number 6, that wall packs meeting the zoning code standards shall be added.
What about photometrics?
I was including in that the photometrics, the wall, oftentimes the wall packs have a
Okay.
standard photometric with them.
With that, do I hear a motion?
Just one question about the sidewalk. That has to be added to the plan before this goes before the village board, correct?
I think the idea of a walkway connecting to the new parking area is fairly clear. It would be up to the commission whether or not you want to see that added. We would typically talk to a petitioner after the plan commission meeting and decide what changes should be made and what
Okay.
changes should wait.
That's fine. Doing that way is fine.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Motion was made by Commissioner Johnson, second by me, Commissioner Rafato. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rafato, I vote yes. Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes,
And Chairman Maloney?
Yes. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
so moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll have some paperwork for you, and
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
And a lot of happy kids.
Good luck. Mr. Waller, you could be in touch with our office about the date of the village board's review of this recommendation. Okay?
While we're signing these, let's take a 5-minute break. About 2 seconds. We're back. Excuse me. Calling now docket number PC 12-19, Phil Haven, 2418-2422 West Hints Road. This is for a site and appearance approval for a multifamily residential building. Mr. Jennings?
Prior to the meeting, the Planning Commission received a supplemental packet. The petitioner read through the staff report and submitted a memo in response to the questions. I think there were 5 questions from the staff report. You have received that supplemental packet with the petitioner's responses, which included items such as photographs of the proposed carport. With that, I'd like to just pass this to the petitioner to begin their presentation.
Before you begin, I have a couple of questions to ask.
Okay.
I want to ask some questions so that we can move on and not get bogged down in things. First thing is we've gone through, I believe, 4 meetings on this prior to this submission. On stormwater management, in the past, we had 4 engineers, 2 theoretically opposed to each other. One is your engineer, one was from the subdivision Lakeside, and 2 independent engineers from the village, all agreeing that even with carports and with all of the parking in place, that this would not increase the probability of flooding any more than it is already. And in fact, it may decrease it a little bit. Has anything you've done to this plan changed that?
No.
Okay. Second thing is there's some concern about the residents on staff. You don't have a staff on hand there, but do you still have in your current plan a resident who would respond in case of emergency, some trained resident?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard the comment about tilting the carports to the south away from Lakeside. Is that an agreeable?
Yes, that was in the follow-up memo we sent you as agreeing with that.
And I guess from that, I'll let you proceed.
Thank you. Like you said, very few things have changed. We appreciated your votes. As you know, we went on to board where they stated that they do in fact want the parking and did not want the on-site offices for the social services. So we amended our proposal to take away those variances completely. So we're now completely in compliance with the existing R4 code. We're back here tonight for the site plan review. It's not significantly different than what you saw before because the land bank plan is now the site plan. So it's not something radically different than what you saw previously. We have now included further detail on the first floor layout to show that those social service offices have been removed, as well as further detail on the carports that are now required for 50 of the 138 spaces. With that, I welcome your questions.
I'm going to start myself on one. The carports, you've got 2 different designs there. One on near the door that's got a sort of a pergola effect, and the other one I really don't like. I'd like to see the pergola effect on all of the carports, the ones that you have near the east side of the building. I'd like to see all of the carports look like that, not like, can you show the other one? I think it looks a lot better than that.
Yeah, one of our goals was to continue working with Lakeside, who of course didn't want these at all, so we were trying to make them as minimal as possible so that the landscaping is still the most dominant feature on the site rather than these carports. So that was our goal in making the front one aesthetically pleasing, in matching the building where it matches up. But then on the side of the building, we wanted the lines to be as simple as possible so that you focus on trees.
I think it would be, personally, I think the pergola type that you got on the side of the building will look good here, that it would complement the landscaping.
Understood.
And look better from Lakeside's point of view, too. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Burns.
Thank you. I heard already that the fence is going to be consistent with the previously submitted plans for the fence around the property, which was approved. Okay. There's a letter in the packet from Manhart Engineering, which was the engineer, stormwater management expert for Lakeside Villas. And they had several concerns in their letter. Overall, I want to make sure that you're in agreement with Mr. Frayne from Manhart that these revised plans are still taking care of stormwater, so it's not heading towards Lakeside Villas. I mean, he was very specific about where a restrictor valve should be in the system. I probably should be talking to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, Kevin?
This might be sufficient. We responded to Manhart and said we agree with all of your comments. They will all be included in final engineering. So that's already been confirmed.
Thank you. I have no further comments or questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. When you removed the offices, what exactly did you replace it with? I didn't have the old plan in front of me.
Can you pull up the first floor, Andrew? I'm disoriented.
On the left,
So you can see we still have our standard property management entry, vestibule and offices. We also have a large lobby area with a fireplace for residents to gather. There's standard mail room, mechanical room, janitorial closet, et cetera.
I couldn't remember where those offices were. Are they where it now says entertainment lounge?
Architect.
Yes, I'm Steve Siegel from VOA Associates. We have essentially allotted space for mechanical equipment that isn't entirely designed yet. So we know we're going to need some space down there, and we've got that, as well as we've expanded the social space that Jessica just mentioned, and there is a front desk, but other than that, which is for building management. But other than that, there are no offices. There's a trash room. There are a couple of restrooms.
No, I was just wondering what you replaced it with. But that's fine.
Okay.
The flooding was one of the issues. I think we've talked that to death. I don't like the fact that we have to put in all that asphalt, but so be it. I have no further comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Raffato.
Thank you. The Chairman Maloney, I know you mentioned, you indicated that the water, the engineering said that irrespective of the parking being there or not, the plan in place would be sufficient to take care of flooding issues. But
Would not make the flooding issues worse.
I don't remember, I thought that was just based upon not having the parking, the additional asphalt
that was
parking.
including the parking and the garages. And without them, when they were going to use the land banking, it would have actually made it a little bit better.
So there is a difference. There is a difference by adding asphalt, right? Because you're adding asphalt where there used to be land-baked ground. So what impact does that have on the engineering?
No, the engineering was including the asphalt.
Yeah, they had always
The plan was
for it.
Because of the chance that the village could trigger the land banking covenant at any moment.
Okay.
The underground tanks, the retention plan, the stormwater paths were all designed assuming you would trigger it in year 3, for instance. And so we had to have built that all in from day one.
Okay, that was, I just needed clarification on that because that was not the way I interpreted it, but that's how, okay, that's fine then. I'm okay with that. You mentioned in the supplemental, I think it was in the supplemental packet, landscaping proposed for the islands under the northern parking shelter. Car shelters will be located over parking spaces. The islands will be landscaped with no mow seats, similar to the adjacent green space. Will that area be sprinkled, those islands? Right, sprinkled with water, yes.
What is it? Yes.
Okay, are those in the plans? That they,
What the landscape plan says is that only the rain garden would be non-irrigated, so this
Okay.
is outside of the rain garden area.
right, but again, did the landscape plans include the parking structures?
The staff interpretation of the landscape plan that came in was that the covers went over that, and in the supplemental packet, their letter confirmed that the roof stops and that seated area will be open to the sky.
Okay, so they will be irrigated? Okay, great. Those were the only questions that I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorband.
Thank you. I'm still not happy with the fact that you're not enlarging the size of the single-bedroom units, but so be it. I'm also disappointed that you're not going to have any on-site supervision, which leads me even further to the fact that while I welcome the development, I wish you were in another area of town where there was more transportation available for whomever is going to live there. And so that saddens me because I'm concerned about that. And as I went through the landscape plan and I looked at it more carefully, it appeared that the trees that are numbered 1 through 6 of being viable or not, it seemed to me if so many of them, because if you took away the ones that were 4 and above, which appear to be a lot, like 200 of them, there's an awful lot of shrub, just, not very good trees in there. And what you're replacing with is less than 30%. So I'm concerned that there's going to be all these kind of not so nice trees in that area, and it's not going to benefit the area that well. So I would like to see some of those, I don't know what you want to call them, not nice trees removed and add more landscaping to this area. Because if you look closely at it, there's a lot of trees on that property that really probably need to go away. And to benefit that whole area, a lot of new things need to go in there. So I think from what you've tagged, the number of you've tagged, the number that you're saying you're removing, that what you're removing doesn't even, 30% of what you're putting back. Plus, there's so many that are, that probably should go away from that property. And so I really question that a lot. The tree inventory was very thorough, and I appreciate that, but again, I'm not convinced that what you're taking out is enough, and you should get rid of some more of the trees that are there and replace them with new things. If we're going to have a building like this and it's a nice looking building, then let's continue to improve the piece of property.
We will certainly comply with landscaping code in every way. If there's a bad tree, we intend to take it out. That was a big part of our dialogue with Lakeside.
But your inventory says the trees of 4 and above you're not removing. You only give your list of what you're removing. And if they list in the 4, 5, and 6 area, I'm thinking that they should go and replace them with something better.
Well, we don't want bad or close to dying trees on our property. So as we get further into final engineering, if a tree's a 4 and it needs to go, you know, if it's a 2 and it needs to go, of course, we'll update the landscaping plan and continue to comply with code. We want a attractive
I
development
wish-
ourselves. We'll own it for a very long time, so it's in our best interest to absolutely have attractive landscaping.
But how do we know that you're going to do that? We don't. That's my concern.
Well, what I was trying to say is by the time we come back with final engineering, any trees that have changed condition or any updates will be included at that time.
I just want to backtrack a little bit because you did mention that there would be some kind of on-site transportation for the residents that are going to live there. Is that still in the plan?
Yes.
Okay, and you're not going to have any on-site person, how are you going to coordinate that? I'm just confused because I'm thinking to myself that if there's 100+ people living there and there's no transportation on the weekends and you don't have any on-site person to coordinate that, how do you, I'm just confused how you get people around.
I'm not quite sure where you got a lot of those facts, actually. There is on-site staff. I don't know where the number 100 came from. We have 50 units.
I'm just using it. You have 50 units, and I'm just saying even if there was, double the amount of people.
Okay. Well, as we've said from the beginning, this is independent living for people that live independently. So they will either coordinate their own transportation or there will be carpool programs that residents coordinate amongst themselves in addition to van programs that staff coordinate.
How do you do, I just need some more clarification on how you do that for a weekend. I mean, when there's no public transportation, how do people get around? Because from what you're saying is that the folks that are going to live there, most of them don't drive. So I'm just confused how you do that.
There will be a staff person present who would help coordinate those activities.
But nobody living there, is that what you're saying?
There is someone that lives there. There's
Okay,
a
I'm
resident.
confused because I thought that's what Chair Maloney
Since the
said.
beginning, we testified that there will be a live-in resident manager. And in addition to that, there are multiple other staff people that come and go at various hours to perform their functions, one of which is coordinating anything such as transportation for groups of residents that need it.
Okay, so there is somebody, basically there is somebody on site there.
That's correct.
Okay, because that's the way it doesn't sound in here, as that there isn't anybody. So I'm still confused about that. Because it does say there's no offices or on-site services. So that's why I was confused by that statement.
Well, that was in response to the denial of the text amendment. We had wanted offices for case managers. Those offices are gone. There is still staff that works in the building. There's property management, leasing staff. Case managers will still visit residents. They won't have on-site offices because the text amendment was denied by the board.
Okay, and there is still somebody there all night? Is that
Correct.
right?
A live-in resident manager is part of the proposal still.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Shaft.
Thank you. My only question was as Chairman Maloney pointed out, the use of two different style of covered parking. I would like to just see the one style. The north half is pretty well hidden from the street, from anything, but still, once you get into that property, it would look a lot nicer if that covered parking, and I can understand, sure, we'd love to have underground parking, but under the conditions, I don't think that would work.
No.
So.
Thank you for your.
The statement that the chairman made, I heartily agree with that. Thank you.
Could you agree to the pergola-type parking shelters all through?
Our preference is to have the other style. If you choose to make it a condition, obviously, we will comply.
Do I hear a motion or a consensus on making a condition of the pergola style, Mr. Burns?
Yeah, I
Can
like,
you bring them both up
Sure.
so everybody can see what we're discussing?
That's the pergola style,
Okay?
and that's the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
the drawing looks a lot better to me. I would prefer that.
Pergola.
Pergola.
Mr. Johnson?
I agree.
Pergola.
Pergola.
Mr. Rufato?
Yes, I agree.
Commissioner Dorband?
Pergola?
And Commissioner Norm, I'm going to do it again.
Pergola, thank you.
Could I ask a clarifying question, actually,
Sure.
on that? Since both structures comply with code, when something like this happens, is it a preference, or what does it exactly
Want
mean?
my real feeling? This one looks like crap.
No, I'm clear on what your real feeling is. I'm just wondering.
going to be a problem
It's a piece
with
of,
snow
it's a piece of
piled on
corrugated
top.
metal on a 2x4 on a pipe.
Well, also keep in mind, this was pictures. I mean, ours would obviously be painted and be up to.
Aesthetically, that's what we want.
Yeah. That doesn't even look good enough to roller skate under to take an order from the car.
Yeah, super dogs are better.
Yeah, Superdog wouldn't allow that.
I have a question.
Sure.
Commissioner Dorband made the comment that the one-bedrooms were smaller than the original plan. I think is what you said, but I thought in one of our meetings, those were all restored to the size that you originally proposed.
That's correct. That's still a condition of the staff report.
Right. So Commissioner Dorband, I think that satisfies what you were asking about. You indicated that they were reduced at one point in time, but then I think they brought them back to existing. So I think that satisfies your one concern there.
It's just that I think our code is bad, and
Oh, okay, from that
that's my
aspect.
problem.
Okay.
I think we should raise the bar and have bigger units, that's all.
They're bigger than the code, but she would like them bigger.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I don't think Ms. Burzak's question was answered. Is that a request, the pergola carports, or is that a requirement? And we have the village attorney here.
Well, I'm putting it in as a
Condition.
So we can require the pergola carports.
I think you're making it a condition. I don't know what the standards are on the carports. I mean,
There are
perhaps,
none, really.
if there are any.
Well, the text of the code related to accessory structures over 120 square feet says that it has to match the building. Match the building, if you can find it, but the exact wording of match the building has a sentence after it that lists ways in which an accessory structure could do that. I could find it real quick if you want to hear what it says.
I seem to remember reading something similar to that.
Okay, well, I don't think the corrugated over 2x4s matches the building, that's for sure. So, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Any other questions? Would you read the conditions, please?
The conditions from the staff report, there are 4. Number 1, the petitioner shall provide a subdivision plat adjusting the easement areas as needed to match the current plans rather than the previously approved PUD. Number 2, that the stormwater release rate for the site shall match the rate listed in the previous stormwater management plan as referenced in the engineering division memos dated February 29th and April 2nd, 2012. Number 3, the minimum unit sizes in the construction permit drawing shall be as follows: 1 bedroom, 765 square feet, 2 bedroom, 980 square feet, and 3 bedroom, 1,168 square feet. Number 4, that the articulation in the fence line, which is now, I believe, totally resolved, but the articulation in the fence line may be modified prior to permit issuance upon receipt of a report of a tree condition analysis. And the new condition from the discussion this evening, number 5, that the pergola-style carport also be used for the 45 covered stalls along the north property line.
Anything else? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Motion was made by Commissioner Burns, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Burns.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban.
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato, I vote yes. Commissioner Schaaf.
Yes.
Chairman Maloney.
Yes. Now the Daily Herald can say it was passed unanimously, where in error they said it was before. It was passed last time by a 4-3 vote. Site plan was unanimous, but the main vote was 4-3.
And as a major site plan read, this is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the village board. We'll be in touch about the exact date of that, but the board meetings are Monday nights.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And again, you'll have some papers to sign too.
Yes, thank you.
While we're waiting for that, we have docket number 2012-9, asking to continue without discussion to June 28, 2012. It's amendments to Title 19 zoning of the Village Code. Do I hear a motion?
Can I just read the, what we are putting on hold? I mean, the docket? Can I at least read the docket?
Sure.
Village of Wheeling petitioner is seeking amendments to Title 19 zoning of Wheeling Municipal Code, including the following: 1, establishing a procedure for administration variations, reducing catering business and industrial districts, updating the public hearing notice requirements, remove the legal description requirement, establish a defined package, a definition for package liquor sales, establish a building setback requirements in the airport district, update the parking lot for specialty schools to be based on occupancy rather than floor area, define large group homes as homes with 6 or more residents, establish a special use requirement for such homes, provide more specific language related to donation boxes, establish a definition for fully enclosed automobile sales, refine the regulations for outdoor dining areas, revise the planned unit development review process to require a concept review with the Plan Commission, revise the provisions for the shared parking reduction, and revise the regulations relating to parking pavement in a required front yard. The above listed amendments involve multiple chapters and sections of the zoning code.
Do I hear a motion to continue to June 28th?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. They can voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Continued. Approval of minutes, May 24th, 2012. Hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Other business, Mr. Jennings.
We have one item of other business that was mentioned in the supplemental packet. Pita Inn, 122 South Elmhurst Road, was approved for an addition, I believe October. They're in construction right now. The restaurant contacted staff in the last couple of weeks with an alternate plan for the elevation facing Elmhurst Road, which would be the east elevation. Staff's determination, based on a review of the zoning code, is that the structure itself meets the requirements for the height exception and not require, it does not require variation in the B2 district because it's an unoccupied structure for decorative purposes. And then the other staff determination was that the special use itself is unaffected by this, and therefore a public hearing is not required. We have set up a public meeting for a major change to the approved elevations on June 28th, and we'd like to just confirm that the Planning Commission's interpretation of the effect on the special use is the same as staff's interpretation. I have this shot as well as the Elmhurst Road side. The other feature of this modification to the elevations is the cooler area, which was outside the building on the approved plans, would now be brought inside the building.
Yeah.
You ask them if they can take a few feet off that tower. It looks 30 feet is
Yeah.
kind of big.
It seems overdone.
I think in the neighborhood it's in, that they could cut that almost 10 feet and it'd still be effective.
Except aren't there a number of trees there? I can't, I drive by it, but I think they probably did height because of the trees that are right along that.
Elmhurst Road.
Even architecturally, it
There's
doesn't.
a parkway on Elmhurst
too
Road.
good.
The village planted trees. But they're not that high.
Well, run it past them anyway, and then if they say because of the trees, and look at it between now and then. Just looks kind of weird.
Staff can also, when we're preparing the staff report for this, we can photograph the area from a greater distance.
Yeah.
So you get a perspective view.
As it presented, it just looks kind of weird. It looks like it's 10 feet too high.
That could very well be.
We all agree with staff?
Yes.
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 Because if you look at an aerial view, there's a lot of trees around that, along Elmhurst Road and right in that corner.
But it's not like they have to advertise that much. They're always busy.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Do they have a freestanding sign as well, Andrew?
They do have a freestanding sign. I think one thing that they mentioned during the last review and that they've talked about with us is that they're trying to get some consistency of appearance between their three locations. And I think that this, I think, is probably slightly more consistent with at least the Glenview location. So we can also take a field trip.
There you go, yeah.
Field trip.
It's work.
I guess McDonald's wants consistency
Because
of
that-
appearance,
on your
but
lunch
when you
hour?
have 3 restaurants scattered throughout
Because
Chicago.
was
May or
that
may not be
sign,
right around noonish.
was that,
Augustino's
probably around
is saying
noonish.
the same
Was
thing,
that
yeah.
sign that's here, was that part of the sign package?
There was a conceptual sign on the north elevation. They did not submit a formal sign package.
Okay, so that's the other consideration. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we agree with staff?
Yes.
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 Okay. Mr. Jennings, have any other business?
I have nothing additional.
Commissioner Dorband?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Just wanted to remind folks that the Bike Safety Rodeo will be Saturday from 10 to 1 at Heritage Park behind the police department here. And it is free and it's open to all ages, and hope people will bring their children, grandchildren, themselves. Thank you.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Phillips 66 is looking pretty good. With the bricks that they're putting in now, it looks a whole lot better than what it has in the past.
And they say the Plan Commission doesn't accomplish anything. How many years has it been, Mr. Rufato? 6?
A lot of years.
Okay.
A lot of
Get
years
things
for
done,
that thing.
sooner or later.
Sometimes it takes a while.
Yeah.
You're right.
It takes a new
Anything
owner.
else?
No, that's all I have.
Commissioner Burns?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Johnson?
Nothing, sir.
Commissioner Rufato?
Just one thing, the new auto repair store where the Ace Hardware used to be.
Advance,
What is it?
Advance Auto?
Advance Auto? Yeah. Commissioner Dorband, we were concerned about that. The west side, it was, we missed it when we were talking about it. That is going to be painted.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, everybody told me I was wrong.
Right. No, that is going to be painted.
It's nice to be right about something.
And I still see a ton of people at the other auto parts store just working on their cars. If I had film in my camera, I'd run out of film. Luckily, it's digital, so I can just delete those. But every time I drive by, there's people out there just changing their, whatever they're doing, but they're doing a lot of stuff there. I don't know how that will ever get policed, ever, and just frustrating.
Jim, I have a question. Do you see that same thing at Napa on the other side of Wolf Road? Because I don't see many people working on their cars at Napa, but I do, like you said, at AutoZone.
I don't go down that way enough to notice,
Yeah,
but
neither do
here
I.
all the time. I see it all the time.
Well, I used to drive it all the time, and I never did see them working at Napa.
Yeah, I just,
No. But
It's just
I don't know what it
is. All the time, all the time. And what's funny is they open their hoods right in front of that sign that says you shouldn't do it.
That's so you can't read the sign.
Right. Yeah. So, okay.
Any other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We're out of here.